Frozen?
What's it? What happened?
Am I
I just
frozen?
got a note saying my internet connection is unstable.
Of course.
All right. So, but better. This is better than it was.
Yeah, I can at least understand you.
Okay. So here's the other option. The other option I had was that I could actually take this and go upstairs, but then we wouldn't have the
Your audio.
microphone.
Yeah. I'm happy with this. Yeah, I don't think you need to
So
go
let's just
upstairs.
do the. Okay, let's go with it.
Okay,
Let's go with this. Okay.
start your roll.
All right, here we go. Let me go ahead and this is a very unflattering angle for me.
It's funny, yeah, because you're much larger in the picture than you normally are, and so you are a giant on your side of the screen compared to me.
Yeah, true story. All right, here we go. Ben Lawrence,
Paul Goody, how are you?
how's it going?
Yeah.
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. So, do you have any planned for this episode?
I don't have anything that I wanted to talk about, and nothing has come in on the various methods with which to communicate to this show. So, yeah, no. Whatever you got, bring it.
Okay, so I was looking at, you might be familiar with this. It's, okay, you can't see it because it's backwards. It's Microscope.
Microscope.
Ben Robbins' game.
It's frontwards for us.
And one of the things that I found out is that it's a role-playing game for 2 to 4 players. Well, heck, Ben.
Oh,
we got 2 players right here.
Did you want to play Microscope during the show today?
I thought for this episode we'd play Microscope.
Let's do it.
Okay. So, do you have access to it? I can read it on my side. And I'm gonna not explain the rules entirely. I'm not gonna read the book to you, but I'm gonna tell you what part 1 is.
Okay.
And step 1 is the big picture.
The big
Brainstorm
picture.
a simple overview of the. What? Say it again.
I just repeated what you said. Our lag is incredible.
Okay. Yeah, sorry about my lag. This is the other thing is that I'll be able to read stuff, and then when I'm done talking, I'll do this. I'll make a gesture like this.
That'll
and
be
then
my
you'll know
cue
that
to
I've
speak.
finished, and I won't say anything after that point.
Okay.
First, brainstorm a simple overview of the history you want to play. If you're looking in a history book, this would be the one line that summarizes what happens, but leaves out all the details. It should be no more than a single sentence. An example is, an ancient empire rises and falls, cavemen at the dawn of time found the first civilization, or mankind leaves the sick earth behind and spreads out to the stars. So we're making a grand history here, Ben. What history do you want to play?
History that we're making up that's not actual history. So let's go with man discovers life-changing life form.
Man discovers life-changing life form.
I realized I said life 2 times in the same
That's
sentence.
great.
If I had time to workshop that, I probably would not have phrased it as I did.
But this is great. Man discovers life-changing man form. Man discovers life-changing life form. All right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Or you can
so
go with
now
groundbreaking
step
life
2.
form, something like that.
Okay, hold on. Man discovers I like life-changing life form. Let's keep
Okay.
it. I like it. I
And
like it.
let's be
I'm good with
inclusive
it.
and let's say humans discover.
Humans discover. Oh, okay. I thought maybe just one man discovered it. Humans, and that man's name is Steve.
Mankind
Humans,
is my business.
humans discover how about world-altering life form?
I like that. Yeah. World altering. It's interesting. Can you even hear me? I mean, you can hear me, but can the stream hear me? All right. They did some. They were messing around with the streaming setup last week.
Oh. Why was anyone messing around with your streaming setup, Ben?
I know. All right. What next?
So, humans discover humans discover world-altering life form. So then, bookend history. Your history will be divided into periods. Each period is a very large chunk of time, probably decades or centuries. Describe how your history begins and ends. These are your starting and ending periods, the bookends of your history. You'll add more periods later, but everything will be between these points. And then agree on a short description for each period, just a few sentences or a paragraph at most, painting a clear picture of what happens during that time. Decide whether each description is light or dark, whether what happens during that period is generally happy or tragic. This is the tone of each period. The tone of the starting and ending period do not have to match. You can describe either period first as you prefer. Sometimes it's easier to pick light or dark for each period and then see what ideas emerge. So let's do that first.
Okay.
Do you want a light period first or a dark period?
Now we're talking about the first period of our history, the opening salvo.
Right.
Exactly. And it doesn't need to be like, since we're talking about humankind, we don't have to go back to the dawn of man. This is the first period of the history that we are creating.
No. Exactly. Yes.
All right. So let's say it's a dark period.
Okay.
And humankind is in trouble and looking for answers.
That's great. Is in trouble and looking for answers. Okay, and then do we want to end on a happy note, or do we want our ending to also be tragic?
I think the ending should also be tragic.
Okay. And we could say, all right, we could do one of two things, right? We could either say, mankind fully assimilates the life form into their day-to-day existence, but at what cost?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or it could be humankind suffers as the life form that they have come to depend on suddenly dies.
Oh, that's a I like that. That's not what I was thinking of, so I like it. Let's go with that.
Okay, humankind kind is left can we say is left helpless?
Yeah.
Or
helpless.
left
Despondent, distressed.
Is left. Ooh, what's that word for something that happens when you're
vulnerable.
Is left in a state of existential crisis. Is left is left helpless
or vulnerable.
Is left in a bleak circumstance.
Yeah.
Is left vulnerable. There we go. Vulnerable. As the life form they have come
to depend on.
Dies. All right. Bleak and bleak, Ben.
Bleak and bleak. Where are we at now as a culture when that's the first storyline we gravitate towards?
Exactly.
Did you hear that the Gulf of Mexico is on fire right now?
No. That's great.
Yeah.
Great.
It's pretty awesome.
I hear that Seattle is actually also running into problems.
Yeah, we were under a heat dome earlier this week. It's cooled off. Now the highs only go to like the upper 70s, low 80s, as opposed to the low 110s. It was 99 degrees in my apartment on Sunday.
And do you have air conditioning or not?
No, I do not.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, it was it's pretty miserable.
Some people don't know this, but Seattle, you'll rarely find air conditioning in Seattle. It's normally temperate.
Yeah. Movie theaters and shopping malls.
Okay. So this is the palette where we add or ban ingredients. The palette is a thing of a list of things players agree to reserve the right to include or conversely outright ban. It gets everyone on the same page about what belongs in the history and what doesn't. Each player can add one thing, either a yes or a no. Add something in the yes column if you think other players would not expect it to be in the history, but you want to be able to include it. Add something in the no column if you think the other players would expect it to be in the history, but you don't want it included. Players can go in any order. I'm going to make you go first, if you don't mind. You don't have to add anything to the palette if you don't want to. If every player added something, either yes or no, repeat step one. Each player has the option to go again. If someone opted not to add something, then you stop. Your palette is done. In the end, no player will have added two things more than anybody else. So we can discuss and negotiate. No one should be unhappy. If something is in the yes column, then during the rest of the game, it's okay to introduce it into the history, even if it doesn't seem like it fits. You've agreed it belongs. If something is in the no column, it's never okay to bring it into the game, no matter what. You've all agreed it's not a part of the history. If something in the yes column doesn't exist in the history until someone, even if something is in the yes column, it doesn't exist in the history until someone introduces it into play. Something might be in the yes column, but never get used at all. So does that make sense?
Yeah, so like if I say...
an example with...
Yeah, if I say, let's put time travel in the no column, we can never bring up time travel in the gameplay.
That's right. Like if you know Firefly, right?
Yeah.
The TV series. Did you watch it?
Yeah.
So like in that one, aliens would be in the no column. because
Right.
they don't do aliens in that.
They don't do aliens.
That would be an
Okay.
example. So, Ben,
Yeah.
a yes or a no?
Crap. A no.
Okay.
Let's put in the no column time travel, because I already brought it up.
Wait. Time travel. No time travel. Oh, yeah, that's great.
How many rounds of this do we do?
No to time travel. Until we're done. It's really open-ended.
So we'll take the rest of the hour to do this.
I'm going to put in yes, suspended animation.
I'll put into the yes column artificial intelligence.
And I'm going to put in the no column, Ben, aliens. No aliens.
Okay. I'll put into the yes column billionaires.
Okay, yes, billionaires. I'm going to put in the yes column cowboys.
Into the no column interplanetary travel.
Let's see. I'm going to put in the yes column oh gosh, no. Well, no. I don't want to. I don't want to force anything.
That's kind of what the yes column sounds like it is, though.
I'm gonna put. Yeah, I'm gonna put in the no column the food industry.
The food industry. Now, does that mean that there is no food industry, or the food industry can't be used as a plot device?
The food industry can't be used as a plot device.
Okay.
And the reason I put that in there is because that's where I was headed to in my mind. I was going to put the food industry in the yes column, and then like, no, let's make it hard for ourselves. Not the food industry.
Let's put into the... Gosh, I'm just kind of grasping at straws now. Just looking for, like, absurd things and whether or not I want them involved.
Do you want to stop? We can stop.
Well, see, like, I've never played this game before. Okay. I have no concept of it. Like, have you played? Yeah. Have you gone through a full campaign of this game?
I haven't gone through a full campaign. I've played and then we stopped in the middle of it because the pandemic hit.
Yeah, so I don't know how many would be enough. Like, let's say I want to. Let's put into the let's put into the yes column organic replication.
Organic. Nice. In the yes column, I'm going to put the French.
Alrighty. In the no column, children.
Oh, that's great. Oh, shoot. In the no column, the military.
Nice. Nice.
Okay. I think we've got a lot here.
Are we good? Yeah, I think we're good.
But if you've got something else. Okay,
Nope.
we did a good job, I think. Okay. So let's see. The palette is. Oh, I probably should have read this before we started.
Oh, God.
The palette is not an exhaustive list of what will be in the history. It's a list of exceptions. If something fits in the setting, wizards in a fantasy world, you probably don't need to add it to the yes column because the players already expect something like it. Likewise, if something seems really out of place, like wizards in a science fiction history, you probably do not need to add it to the no column unless you think other players will want to include it. When in doubt, discuss. Okay. Now we're on to first pass, Ben.
Okay.
Group decisions are now over. For the rest of the game, each player makes decisions individually and has vast power to shape history. Each player now gets to add more detail to the history, creating either a new period or events. Players can go in any order that they want. Again, I feel like I'm going to make you go first. Just because I like it when I don't dominate games.
I get to add a new period? So somewhere between the bookends that we created?
Right, or an event. And this is what we'll say. To add a period, place it between any two adjacent periods, then give a short description of what happens during that time.
All right.
Say if the tone is light or dark. An event is a specific thing that happens inside a period, like a prince seizing the throne or a colony ship arriving to a new world. To add a new event, decide what period the event is in. If there are already two events in that period, oh shoot. I wrote our events the wrong way. They're supposed to face a certain way. So I'll be rewriting these while you think of what you want to do. Write each period or event on a separate index card, which I did. Orient events cards. Oh wait, yeah. Orient event cards wide versus tall. These are not events; these are periods, which is why I did it wrong. So that you can tell them apart from the periods and place them below the period they're in. Cards are laid out in chronological order with times flowing from the right of period cards and downward for event cards from each period. Does that make sense? This is the image on the book.
Yeah. Okay, I see. So since we've just started, and we only have two periods, I'm gonna put a period in between those two periods, and I'm gonna say that this period is the.
So I just, yeah, go ahead.
So this period is the Age of Hope. It's a light period. It's where humankind thinks that they found the answer, and they are saved.
Okay.
We should have some sort of like camera on your tabletop to show the viewers what our timeline looks like. For those of you joining us, we are playing Ben Robbins' role-playing tabletop game Microscope.
So we have humankind is in trouble and looking for answers. In between that, we have Age of Hope.
Yes.
Humankind believes they have the answer. And then the last period that we have right now, humankind is left vulnerable as the life form they have come to depend upon dies.
So let me
I
ask you a question.
betcha
Let me ask you a
there's
question about the
probably an
gameplay.
online. Yeah, go ahead.
So we create this history, and you and I go back and forth, putting in
Yes.
periods and events. Now, but this isn't a cooperative thing because we're no longer playing together. We are playing on our own. So is the point to like thwart the other person, sort of like betting $1 on the Price is Right above what your previous person wagered?
So it says write each period and index. Write each period and event on separate index cards as you create them. Orient event cards wide instead of tall. Blah blah blah. So each period happens. So after you lay them out, what you write on the card is just a placeholder for the description you give other players. What you say is more important than what's on the card. Always speak first. Make sure the other players hear and understand you, and then write. Making events and periods is covered in more detail later on. You now know a lot more about your history than you did when you started, and you're ready to start regular play. So let's see, really quick.
So, I mean, we're 35 minutes in, although we did get started 10 minutes late. So we're just setting up our history at this point.
Yeah. So in the Age of Hope, I'm going to create an event. Again, this is a light event. And we will say on oh wait, are we on Earth? Oh, we don't know.
We don't know, but they are humans.
That's a question. Yeah. So on a
Well,
ranch,
actually, no. Wait a minute. In the no column, there is no interplanetary travel. Does that mean? Did we? So have we?
right? But that doesn't mean that we're not on a.
We're not already somewhere else.
Yeah, on a ranch in the middle of nowhere. We'll call Rex Tanglehorn discovers a massive fissure that has opened on his land.
Now, did you say that there were a maximum of 2 events per period?
No. Did that say that anywhere?
Oh, I thought I
I
heard
don't
you
think
say
so.
that at some point.
Let me see.
Never mind.
No. That is not something that
Okay.
it says in the rules. So we might want to add more periods and stuff, but let's read playing the game just to make sure.
Yeah.
And see what happens, because I know we'll probably add more. So, overview of play. You should have already followed the steps in starting a new game to build the foundation of your history, which we have. Granted, it's very small.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Decide which player will start. You're starting. That player becomes the first lens. Lens, L-E-N-S, lens. If someone is teaching the game, they should be... I'm not really teaching them. They should be the first lens. You can give the lens a large invisible object to remind everyone at the table who it is. I think you're a large invisible object enough, Ben. Recognize you.
It's what my father keeps telling
Declare
me.
the focus. The lens declares the current focus of the game, the part of the history you're going to explore right now. Number 2, make history. Each player takes turns creating either a period, event, or a scene. The lens goes first, then go around the table to the left. What you create must relate to the current focus. The lens can choose to create 2 things on her turn, so long as they are nested inside each other, either a new event plus a scene inside that event, or a new period plus an event inside that period. Does that make sense?
I guess so. Yeah.
This gives the lens more power to get the focus going. Lens finishes the focus. After each player has taken a turn, the lens gets to go again and add another period, event, or scene, or 2 nested things. This lets the lens have the last word about the focus. After all players have addressed the focus, we take a step back and examine legacies, elements in the history we want to remember to explore later on. Choose a new legacy. The player to the right of the lens, that would be me in this case, picks something from play during the last focus and makes it a legacy. Explore a legacy. The same player creates an event or dictated scene that relates to one of the legacies, either the one just created or one already in play. New lens. The player to the left of the lens becomes the new lens. This would be me again, and picks a new focus. Repeat. Before the new lens starts, you may want to take a quick intermission and talk about how the game is going. Talk about what you've liked or what intrigues you, but don't plan what's going to happen next. That's the whole game in a nutshell. Each step described in more detail in the rest of the book. So, picking a focus. Play can jump backwards and forwards in time all across history. Now, this isn't the same as no time travel, obviously.
Of course.
It's just saying that in the game, we can, you know this.
Yeah.
We can focus on stuff. To keep everyone playing the same game, the lens picks a focus, a unifying theme that ties the story together, at least until the next lens picks a new one. The focus can be anything: a person, a place, a thing, an institution, an event, a period, a concept, anything you want. The lens can use something that already came up in play or make something new on the spot. If you're making something new, you'll usually declare the focus, then make a period, event, or scene to show what you're talking about. So, for example, The new focus is going to be the sinking of the Gabriel Dora. It's a luxury liner that goes down mysteriously. So first, I'm making a new event where the ship sinks in the North Atlantic with no known survivors. Write down each focus and who chose it on a card so that as the history unfolds, you can look back and see how you explored it. If a new lens is interested in a previous focus, they should pick the same focus again. They could pick the same focus again or pick a related focus that looks at things from a different angle. The old focus was President Galveston, patriarch of the Lone Star Republic. During play, we found out that he died in office, eaten away by illness. The new lens wants to explore that, so she makes a new focus, the last days of Galveston's presidency. Picking a focus is powerful. It lets you set the direction of the game. Don't hesitate to make a new focus even if you don't have a clear idea of why it's interesting. The details will emerge when you play. When in doubt, pick a small concrete focus, like a particular person or an incident, rather than a broad or vague one. The narrower the focus, the more detailed and personal the history will be. Okay. So,
Good Lord.
I'm ready to write down what you want to focus on, Ben.
Now I can create a new period and nest in that event, or I can create a new event in an existing period and nest within that a scene.
A scene. Do you want to know what a scene is? Because we haven't really talked about that, right? Scenes.
Yeah.
Scenes are the... Scenes. Scenes are the smallest units of history. They show us exactly what happens at a specific place at a specific time with the specific people. Scenes are also different because instead of creating them unilaterally, all the players join in and role play to determine what happens. You give up absolute control, but in return, you will decide what everyone is going to role play about, turning everyone's attention to the part of history that interests you. To create a scene, you first pose a question, something you want to find out about the history. The goal of the scene is to decide the answer to that question. We start the scene without an answer and discover it through play. The question can tell us something crucial to history, like why did the king betray his country? It can give us a window into what life was like in that time and place. Are the asteroid miners happy with their rugged frontier lives? Or just examine something that isn't important in the grand scheme of things, but interesting to the players? Did the soldier get to marry his hometown sweetheart? If you want to make a scene, but you don't want to answer the question yourself, instead of letting the players participate, you can choose to dictate the scene instead. When you dictate the scene, you describe what happens and narrate the answer to your own question, just like making a period or event. Making a dictated scene is covered later. To make a played scene, don't say anything about what you have in mind. Just follow these steps. Just state the question, set the stage, choose characters, reveal thoughts. There's a symbol here. Choose characters and reveal thoughts at this symbol. It indicates choices made by each player going around the table to the right. All the decisions are made by players making the scene. So there's more to it than that a little bit, but that makes sense, right?
I guess so. So so as the lens, I'm going to focus on our first period in history. I forgot what we've called it, but
okay. Humankind. It's just humankind is in trouble and looking for answers.
Humankind is in trouble and looking for answers. So I'm going to create an event inside that period. Okay. And I'm going to call it the Great Burn.
The Great Burn.
And within that, a scene.
All right. So the Great Burn is the Great Burn light or dark?
It is dark
for the event.
Yeah.
Okay. And the scene, what is the scene going to be?
The scene is...
What are we trying to answer?
The scene is an entire community has been wiped out except for one lone building that appears untouched.
Okay. An entire city
Sure.
is burned.
Yeah.
Or what did you say? Is destroyed?
Yeah. Gone, vanished as if in the blink of an eye. This water tastes funky.
Which remains untouched. Now, the one thing I don't see here is if we write anything down. Cat writes the question on the top of the card, oriented tall, and then writes the setting in the middle. For now, they keep the card out where everyone can see the question. When the scene is done, she'll write the answer at the bottom, draw a circle, light or dark, and then put it underneath the event card on top of the scene that comes after it. Okay. So what is your question for the scene?
My question for the scene is, why did this one building survive?
Why did this one building survive? Okay. So I've written that on the thing. State the question. Okay. Step 2, set the stage. When does the scene happen? Decide which event the scene is in. We already did that. If there's already a scene in that event, put it before or after that one. There is no other scene right now. Review established facts. So we know that the entire city was burned except for a lone building, which remained untouched. Don't create anything new at this point. Just review what already happened and what we know is going to happen in the future. In the future, we know that mankind will believe they have an answer. We also know that eventually, on a ranch in the middle of nowhere, Rex Tanglehorn will discover a massive fissure that has opened on his land. Where, why, what happened next? Describe the scene, where the scene physically takes place and what's going on. Are the characters there for a reason? If there is something, is there something they intend to do? What happened just before the scene? If there are specific incidents implied to the event description of the question, say that before or after. So I'm guessing does this take place in the city itself, the scene, or are we somewhere that's observing the scene?
I don't understand. What do you mean? Somewhere that's observing the
Or
scene?
observing the city. So are we characters in the city, or are we characters who are observing the city from somewhere else?
Yeah, I hadn't
It takes place in
imagined.
the city, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, it takes place in the city, but I hadn't imagined us, the players, actually being characters in this thing. Is that what you're saying?
Oh yeah, that's how the scene works.
Ah.
Yep, we're characters in the scene.
Okay.
We role play it out.
Gotcha. So yeah,
So it takes place in the city.
Yeah, we're in the city. We've arrived in the city.
Are we in the building?
No.
Okay. All right. So we have arrived in the city. So is it day or night?
Daytime.
Okay, and choosing characters. Players making a scene may specify one or two characters someone must play in the scene. Oh. Okay, so you got to come up with one or two characters that someone needs to play. And you also can name one or two characters that no one can play, if that makes sense. It's just like our yeses and nos. You're like, okay,
Yeah.
there has to be a grocery store clerk and a bus conductor. There can't be a mad bomber or, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You can require or ban categories of people.
I think one person.
As an example, I require the king and a secret. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
One person is unemployed and has no skills. Another person is good with tools.
Okay. Okay, an unemployed person with no skills and a person good with tools. Each player picks a character in the scene. So, which one do you want to play? I guess I pick first.
You pick first.
I'll be the person with. I'll be the unemployed person.
All right. I'm good.
So
with
you're
tools.
the good person with good skills. You can invent a completely new person on the spot or pick someone who's already appeared in the game, even if the character is someone has played previously. We haven't done that yet, so that's good. The goal is to answer the question, so pick characters that help you do that, which is why it was the building untouched.
Yeah.
Even if you can't pick a character who decides the answer, your choice may tell the other players the way that you want the scene to go. Each player states the thing that their character is thinking about the upcoming scene. Start the right of the player making the scene and continue to the right. All players in the same order as picking the characters. Your thought could reveal what your character is going to do or highlight what your character expects to happen. Revealed thoughts are powerful tools for influencing the scene. They let you give the other players hints about where you want the scene to go. Don't reveal thoughts that answer the question before the scene even starts. You can hint or stack the deck, but don't give definitive answers. The navigator wonders why they're really being sent to Karas 4. They can't send a ship all the way out there just to take spectrographic readings. Your thoughts about the other players' characters, but can be about other player characters, but it can only be what your character thinks or believes. The other players get to say what their character is really doing. So, like in that example, the person might think that the captain sold them out, but he only thinks the captain sold them out. He can't say what the captain does. So, my character is unemployed, and he's leaving his apartment, and he's going to go to the store because he is tired and he only has a very little amount of money, so he's going to get a cup of coffee.
Okay.
And that is where my character's at when the scene starts.
My character is trying to figure out a way.
My character's name is.
What's your character's name?
Go ahead. My character's name is Boham Charles.
When this scene starts, my character is looking for something to open up a box that he found. And his name is Steve.
Okay.
Just because it feels like it's the polar opposite from Bohem.
Boham.
Sorry, Boham. Little Boham.
All right. Oh, we're almost done with this week's episode.
Yeah.
10 more minutes. So let's do this scene, Ben.
We have to act out this scene?
All right. So it's daytime. What? What's that?
Are we acting out? Like, continue.
Yeah. So it's daytime in the city.
Back of my neck.
Boham's walking down the street. And he sees Steve. Hey, Steve.
Boham. Good to see you. I'm glad we're friends.
When are you gonna? Yeah. When are you gonna give me a job, man?
I told you that you need to go through some training first, but you never accept my offer to train you. So I have a challenge for you. If you get this box open, I'll give you a job.
Okay. All right, let me look at this box then. I can do this. This is fine. Bohem looks at the box, and he is immediately confused because the box doesn't seem to have any seams on it. It's roughly the size of him. Where did this box come from, man?
You know, it's the darndest thing. I was looking through the rubble of that this burned out city, and it just appeared right in the middle of the street, like somebody dropped it on their way out in a hurry, and it felt important.
You know, you are incredibly lucky that you got. This is what I'm saying. It's because you've got friends in the government that you got this job. You're lucky that you have a job. I'm lucky that I actually live in the only apartment building that wasn't destroyed. We're both some lucky guys.
I've been meaning to ask about your apartment complex.
Take a look at this thing. Yeah, well, I mean,
like everybody else's apartment burned down.
And when you moved out to the suburbs, I told you that you were not going to be my friend anymore. And I was rude about that. But, you know, you live too far out. And I was complaining about that. I was like, you live too far. But then what happens? I'm alive. You're alive. You're alive because you were far enough away from this. That's the thing, man. If you hadn't moved, your apartment was destroyed.
Yeah, it's right over there. It's a pile of rubble. We seem to be the only people alive in this town right now.
I got something I can tell you. At night, I hear a TV. I think there's another person in the building.
But you haven't
At
looked?
least one. No, I'm a little bit. I know this sounds weird, even though you and I are the only two guys alive in the city right now. But I have social anxiety. I don't want to meet anybody new.
Yeah, you got to look out for number one, and I totally get that.
All right, so
But
you found this in the. Can we tip this over?
Yeah. There are no markings on there are no markings on it, so there's no way to know which end is up. And I'm assuming it fell off of a truck or was dropped by people. So yeah, we could try to muscle it over.
All right. Here's the question: was it under the rubble or was it on top of the rubble?
It was on top. Like it was.
So like
put
someone
there.
might have dropped this. All right. Let's find out. Pushes it over. As he's pushing it over, the outside of the box, like you know how when you push on one of those drawing the Zen boards that you can draw on with water. Does that make sense at all?
I don't think I've seen one of
those. The box
those.
itself is white, but when he
Okay.
pushes on it, where his hand is turns black.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And then when he takes his hand away, it fades back to white. It's like
It's
a pressure activated thing.
Yeah. Interesting.
And so he doesn't push it over at that point. Hey, could you try touching it and see if it does the same thing?
Yeah. So Steve touches it, but his hand does not react to, or the box does not react to his hand. So Steve tries his other hand, and still nothing. And then he tries both hands at once. And then he puts his cheek on the box. And tries to listen to the inside.
Oh, man. I don't know if I'd... and what he hears is a little clicking noise. Like a little bit like clockwork. Like it's regular. It's a regular...
Right. I hear it clicking. You don't think this is an explosive device, do you?
If it is, it's really well put together. Like professional. This looks like some commercial shit to me.
Yeah.
And he touches the thing again. And he realizes that the place where his handprint showed up is part of a large space. And he realizes that the thing that he's touching, when he touches it and presses hard enough, it doesn't go away anymore, if that makes sense. And what he reveals is a large arrow pointing up on the box.
Sort of a this end up arrow.
Yeah. Yeah, and he looks down underneath it, and he presses again, and it forms words underneath, and it says, "This end towards enemy."
Jesus. I don't know what that means because...
And Boham takes the step back.
Yeah. Steve doesn't know what that means because there are no armed forces in this city. It's been outlawed.
Yeah, the military has been disbanded for a really long time.
Yeah, so this must be really old.
And Yeah, but it looks
It
really
looks new.
high tech too.
Yeah.
It's an odd contradiction.
So,
And what Boham thinks and what he says to Steve is, I don't think this is military. I know that sounds weird, but I think that this is a civilian-made device. That somebody made this, and the person that made it might have lived in this town, might have lived in our city. And it's possible that the reason that our building, my building, is still standing is that was the place where one of these devices was set off from.
right. So unlike an explosive device,
which means that
it's best to be near one of these things when it goes off.
Or at least on this side of it.
Right.
But yeah, if everything around this building was destroyed. Wait. And Boham like gets really excited and starts looking around. And he goes, "Look, if this was where the explosion would have happened from, everything would be pushed aside, right? Everything would be pushed out from here. But it's not. Everything was pushed down. I don't think that this is a bomb. I think this is it's a force field. This end towards enemy. This must have created a bubble around the apartment complex.
Mm.
And maybe this is the thing. Maybe this is the one.
So
I think we just got rich, man.
Steve wonders who set it off and why. Was it just to...
Okay, so someone in my building must have been keyed into the idea that something bad was going to happen to the city.
Yeah.
And so they
were proactive.
You know what? Okay. All right. We found this in the pile of rubble. Can you point exactly to where... Was it in... Did you move it from where it was? Or is this where you found it?
No, I dragged it here from over there, not far.
So he looks to where it is, and then he looks up at the top of his building, and he's like, I don't know math at all, but is it possible that it was on top of the building, and when this thing went off, the force field took the brunt of it, and then it fell off the building and landed over there? Sort of like how when you flip a water bottle, it lands on the...
Yeah. Steve looks around it and notices that there's no damage at all to it. So, even where he was dragging it, there are no scratch marks from the pavement. It seems to be indestructible. The outer casing, at least. So maybe, I don't know, man. That sounds like pretty good deduction from my point of view.
Okay, and that's where we'll have to end it, Ben. We're at our time.
Microscope.
So I'm going to say this: why did this one building survive? We can say it was protected by a strange box.
Right.
Can we say that?
Yeah.
And I would say, when you and I first started, right? When we first started doing this, the idea that there's this strange box that
Creates a force field.
protected buildings from... Yeah.
While
Neither of us thought about this. This is a fully generated thing.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
So, how do you win?
I am doing probably a bad way. I gotta read... How do you win?
Well, I mean, how does the game end?
Asked?
Yeah, what's the conclusion? How do you when does it stop? We could go on for hours just making up stories about this timeline. So what's the end game for typical gameplay?
So here's what I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna have to read the full thing, but I really think that it stops when you have a... What is this?
It stops when you run out of time on your podcast.
Sorry about this. 1 second. It stops. No, but it stops when you run out of time on your podcast. It stops when, I think, when the history is fleshed out and everyone is satisfied with what you've created.
Alrighty.
I think. But I'm gonna read through the entire book before our next podcast.
All right. How big
and
is
I'll
that
have better
book?
Answers.
Like, did Ben write a novel to
What's that?
Did Ben write a novel to describe gameplay?
Ben, look at this. Look at this.
Yeah.
It is.
That ain't no pamphlet.
Microscope clocks in at 79 pages.
Alrighty.
79 pages, Ben.
Well, the Gygax
So
Bible
I thought
is,
this was a very fun episode. No. Oh, man. That's still going on, by the way.
Yeah. How many volumes in that?
Ernie Gygax and his fake TSR. Have you heard about all that? I don't want to get into it, but...
No, I haven't.
Trans people, Ben. Trans men are men, trans women are women, trans lives matter. I'm just saying.
All right,
It's a very easy thing to say.
I'm guessing that there's some bit of controversy surrounding Dungeons and Dragons and trans lives.
Not Dungeons and Dragons. TSR created Dungeons and Dragons. They sold Dungeons and Dragons to Wizards of the Coast. They lost their trademark. Another company picked it up. Then that company lost their trademark, and a new company picked it up. And the son of Gary Gygax, Ernie Gygax, there's also Luke Gygax, who's pretty cool, but Ernie Gygax said some unfortunate things on a podcast, was asked to apologize, and
let me guess,
did an
double
All
down
Lives
on
Matter
his
kind of
stance.
thing
Oh, Jesus.
about it.
Yeah.
So people are mad, but somebody asked if they made fun of everyone on the spectrum or if it was just Ernie. So basically they implied Ernie had autism, or Ernie was autistic. The way they said it. Okay, so here's the thing. The autistic community prefers autistic person, or I am autistic, rather than having autism or getting autism. So let me put that out there. But implying that transphobia is something that, well, not transphobia, also talking about wanting to be a school shooter and doing, there's a whole bunch of stuff that if he would have simply apologized, would have been swept under the rug, maybe. Probably not. but still they doubled down instead. Now they have a new PR manager, and they say that they're going to be better. So who knows? But anyway.
All right. And with that, Paul, I bid
if I
you a
haven't
good.
talked to you about that, that means
I bid you a good keep it wrong for the rest
Sorry,
of the
Ben.
week.
yeah, Ben. I want you to keep it wrong, and I'm sorry that I went off on a tangent there.
Well, it's all right.
But,
you know, it's having
important to me.
this lag that we are experiencing on the show today is, having a normal conversation would have suffered because there's a good 2 to 3 seconds between when I finish saying something and when you hear me. Maybe 4 or 5 seconds.
So I think Microscope is good for this, and we'll see what happens.
All right.
Yeah,
we'll see
look
what
at
happens.
that. Right here, I'm gonna clap, and you tell me when I clap. You tell me now. I hear you clap.
Now.
Ah, wow.
So how about
so
this?
much lag, Ben. Okay. Oh, now.
Jeez. All right.
So there's some lag coming back too.
Yeah. Alrighty. Anyway.
All right.
Until
Keep
next
it
time,
wrong,
Paul.
Ben.
Keep it wrong. I'll talk to you later. Hey, how about this? Let's do a countdown. 1.
All right. Bye.